What's going on, running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans? Welcome to Talking in Ovals. I'm Alex Cuesta, partner in crime over there, Dave Hyatt. Brother, what's going on?
Just got a few things that I want to talk about from this past weekend. I want to start off with saying thank you, USA TF, for letting the under 20 guys go and compete in Peru. I don't know how there's a difference 1 month later, but they finally came to their senses and are going to let these guys and girls compete. I want to say I'm pumped up about Kyle Merber being pulled over to the Michael Johnson League. I think he's a tremendous hire. Social media, he's going to be in charge of like race development and signing athletes. I want to say from the World Relays, I didn't realize that we got disqualified in the 4x4. Did you see why?
I didn't either. No, what happened?
All right, so we won our heat. Every handoff was perfect, but I guess in this World Relay Athletics meet, they line you up to receive the handoff.
Oh yeah, didn't one cross in front of the other?
In a certain order, but any other relay race, if your guy passes the guy, you just push ahead and you get the baton. So the USA guy pushed ahead and got the baton. Apparently, you have to stay in that order. So they were disqualified for that, but they got to come back yesterday, run again, and they're making it. I did like how they had
before though at meets where I think they need to like explain that better to the anchor legs and other legs, because I feel like it's not really explained well at some meets. So
I do like how they had the Olympic qualifiers at this meet. So like teams, like countries had to actually go. That was cool. And I want to give a shout out 7 years ago today. Mr. Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile for the first time.
Yeah.
7 years ago today. And last, welcome back, Matthew Centrowitz. 3:35. Yeah. It's his last year running. He's going for it. I will never count him out. I mean, he didn't beat anybody who's going to be in that race, but I won't count him out. If it's a fast race, I don't like his chances, but anything tactical, he's a tactical master. So,
we could talk about Central later with our guests. I'm pretty sure he'll have some opinions. I just, I don't count Central out. And I think that if he's running 3:35 now, I think 3:32 come trials is realistic.
The fastest he's run since the 2021 trial.
I'm convinced if he can run a 3:32, Yara Nagus is not going to run a 3:30 at trials. And I think a 3:32 would put him in the mix for a spot. So we'll talk later. We'll talk later. We have a great guest coming on. But before we get going into that, today is Monday, May 6th, 2024, episode number 87. We're approaching episode 90 very quickly. So we are, on a mission here. If you are watching on YouTube, if you are watching on X, and we are also simul streaming on the Runners High Facebook page. Hello, everybody there. If you are watching this, please go to our YouTube, our Twitter, go follow, subscribe, just go search Talking in Ovals. We will be there. Smash that like button, share the show, let everybody know that, we're out there and we're trying to do the best we can for runners. So we're excited about that. So, do all that good and fun stuff. We got a lot to get through real quick. So last week we had on Jim Lambert. We always have fun talking to Jim. It was a pretty zany show towards the end with him, running around so his laptop doesn't die. And
it was great
going to talk to about having to save an animal from his cat. So that was interesting. But we talked a whole bunch of pen relays, New Jersey track, outdoor predictions that, we have written down now. So we're going to hold Jim to the fire next time he's on with those. So we're excited about that. I want to go into, the trackstar.me, Olympic Dreams, Give, Send, Go. We are done with that series, but we are not done talking about them. So I'm going to put that up right there. The Give, Send, Go, what it is for, we had on. If you did not watch, please go back and watch 6 of them. One of them we recorded with Justin, just audio, but please go back, watch those, listen to those athletes, their stories. They're all Olympic hopefuls. And they are the top 5 to 10 in all their events. So they have legitimate shots at trials.
Yeah.
And we just want to get them paid. And this Give, Send, Go is a collective for them in order to get money to train, to eat, to, take away some of the pressure that
travel
athletes to travel. Because pro athletes, unless you're one of the top athletes with a big sponsorship, you're not getting paid. So please go to the Olympic Dreams, Give, Send, Go, www.givesendgo.com/GBKDF. It's on the screen there if you're watching. So please go there. Whatever you can give to them, because these athletes deserve it. Go back and watch their stories. It was fantastic. Running down this some more, we have some PRs. Yes, I'm excited. So
I have a couple too. After
you have a couple too. All right. So I'm going to run through quickly as quick as I can. So Tom, if you're watching this, I'm going to try and go as fast as I can. Our buddy, Tom Figueroa over there, one of the Michiganders. We have friends out there. He's the Red Arrow Track Club coach over there, but he's giving us his athletes in high school. So I'm going to give credit to their high schools.
Yeah.
So for St. Joseph High School girls, his daughter, Elena Figueroa Jr., for the 3,200, she didn't set a PR, but she broke the school record at 10:47.27. Her 10:37 indoors, so she's blazing there. And in the 800, she ran a PR of 2:16.68. So awesome job, Elena. Keep it up. Still over there with the St. Joseph girls. Beatrice Perichetti, 10th grader, set a 1600 PR of 5:47. And I'm going to say Naya Dibke, sorry if I ruined your name, junior over there, ran a 100-meter PR of 12:53. Going to the boys' side for St. Joseph's. Shay White, 12th grader, ran a 400 PR 51.23. Eli Tony, 12th grader, also ran a 400 PR of 51.21. And Eli Johansson, 11th grader, 1600 PR 438, 3200 PR of 1012.99. Not done yet. Lakeshore High School girls. Bella Sladen York, 9th grader, ran an 800 PR of 245.78. Jimena Martinez, 9th grader, ran a 3200 PR of 1317.81. Eli Cross, 11th grader, 200 PR of 28.69. And Lucy Cross, I assume you're related, 9th grader, 200-meter PR of 28.0 and 400-meter PR of 67.40. And lastly for this list, Bridgman High School girls, Emily Howell, junior, 200-meter PR of 26.87. So all of you over in Michigan, great job. And this is over the course of the past few meets. Tom got this together for us. So we love it. Keep bringing the fire. Keep bringing the heat. We want more. So thank you so much, Tom. Dave, what do you got over there?
All right. First, I want to thank Dave Alfano for putting on an amazing meet Friday night at Eichen Stadium for Trials of Miles. It was legendary. We sent some athletes there. But from that meet, we had junior from Munson Fairhaven, Clemmy Lilly, running 2:06 for the 800. Ridiculous. Peyton Shute, a 4:08 mile.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Barrett, 4:10. Jack Falkowski, 4:12. Emma Zawaski comes back with another 4:44 after running 4:44 at Penn.
Monstrous.
For the full mile. And at the night of 32s, our past guest from Westfield, Avery Keith, breaking 9 minutes, 8:58. Hell of a job by everyone. And I'm telling you, that Trials of Miles, awesome. They got a DJ, they got like music. It was just an awesome atmosphere. So hell of a job, Dave.
Yeah, Dave Alfano needs more love with Trials of Miles. We need to get more people with eyes there, and he does a great job over there. And we would love to have Dave, once things cool down for outdoor season, we'd love to probably have him back on a little bit later, talk about the season, more things they have planned, and try and give more support his way there. So we love that. Thank you all, everyone, for, your PRs and, shout out to past guests that doing great thing. We'd love to hear more. So any coaches, any athletes watching this, we don't care if it's, you're a guy and you just broke 6 for the first time in the mile,
awesome.
or
Love it.
You're a girl and you're now sub 15 in the 100. We don't care. That's the best that you could do. We want to give it a shout out because it doesn't matter what level you are. The pain is the same if you're giving it all. So we want to give them all love. But with that being said, we want to bring on our guest. I am absolutely excited to have him on. These are the type of people that are the fabric of the running community in our areas. He is Craig Segal. He is the co-owner of Runners High, and I believe it's in Freehold and Metuchen are the 2 locations.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, and they're both Jersey. Yep, they're both Jersey. Craig, what's going on, man?
Not much, Alex. Thank you guys. Dave, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you guys and what you do for our sport and what you guys are doing. So thanks so much for having me on for a little bit of time here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. So we're going to jump right in with you. Going to ask the question that we ask all of our guests. And, you've probably been prepared for this one because you said you've listened to a few episodes. So what is the spark that made you want to become a runner? Because you were a runner and you were a pretty damn good runner. You made it to a damn good university. So what was your spark that got you started wanting to be a runner?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always, revert back to my childhood, much like most of us, right? And I was fortunate enough, I grew up in Homedale, and I was fortunate enough where in about maybe 5th or 6th grade, my family moved to a house that literally, if you were standing on the starting line at Homedale Park and you turned around and you looked at the pond and then you saw the Arboretum and the hills behind that, my family moved into a house right up in those hills. So I was fortunate enough to have literally Homedale Park as my backyard. And I think at that point in time, my father, he wasn't a runner when he was younger at all. He started to pick it up a little bit later. I think, into like his mid 40s or so. I think that is a time, and now I'm experiencing it to myself, kind of getting to that same age where, you see friends where it can kind of go in either direction from a health perspective. And he didn't want it to go a certain way for him. So he started picking up running, and he kind of toted me along on some of his runs, and he would loop back for me up and down the start hill at Homedale Park. And so those are like honestly my first memories of running, and that's what really kind of started kind of my passion for running. And I was not very good for a bit of time, and just kind of kept at it. And I think especially at that age, it's very formidable years, and it starts to become part of your personality. And then you kind of have that taste of success, and then you're just kind of you're all in on it. And then that was kind of right around mid high school for me, and it was kind of really off to the races, no pun intended, from there on out.
Now, when you were at Homedale, was that with Coach Logren, or was Sean there?
Yeah, so I had Coach Logren all 4 years I was there. He was there initially. His last year, he was going to retire the year that I was graduating, and that was the intention. He came back to kind of help out a little gap there a year or two after, and then Sean came on board. I want to say in 2004, Sean might have come on board, and they co-coached for about a year before Logren had stepped away. But yeah, we just call him Coach. He's still on my cell phone as Coach. So I had him for all 4 years. I was very fortunate to have him.
Good guy. There's nothing better than I've said this before. There is no better title than coach, honestly. And it's like because it's the coolest connection. Because years later, like I didn't coach for that long. I think. At the high school and college level combined, maybe 6 years.
Sure.
And it was just, still getting athletes, and now they're grown men and women. And it's still like, how's it going, coach? And it's like, I've been a coach in a long time, but it still feels awesome. Like it feels great. Just, it's such a sign of respect. And I do it for my former coaches as well. And it's a great thing that unless you experience it, you kind of don't know. And Dave is getting to enjoy it all over again. And I'm really jealous of him. I'm not going to lie. But, so that's a different spark than we've heard, right, Dave? Because that was kind of like
usually it's soccer or swimming, and then I just entered some race and I was good, so I did it.
No, I was afraid of the baseball. I wasn't very good at soccer. I was good at running, in terms of just running around the soccer field. But now, I mean, even when I started like competitively running and making it kind of my exclusive thing, I wasn't very good. I think my freshman year PR was 5:14, and then I still had a little bit of baby fat on me, and then all of a sudden dropped to like 4:30 my sophomore year. And then that was like, I think the moment when everything kind of clicked and I was committed to it. And then, right from there, it was, that was all I wanted to do,
It's one of those things that like, and it's so true about running. It's so hard to get past some of those thresholds, right? Like breaking 4:45, 4:30, like, but once you get past it and your body like experiences it, it's almost then all automatic. Like, yeah, it's pretty hard. If you're running 4:29, you'll dance around 4:30 for a little bit. But once you start to clip off 4:27, 4:26, you're not going back to 4:30. You're pissed about that. Like your body understands what it's supposed to do. So, and it's such a different experience in running, right? Because once you get that muscle memory, your body, like, unless you take a long time off, it's a really significant difference than other sports, right? Because other sports, your skills could be here and there any given day. But as a runner, 2 seconds off your PR is a bad race. Like you're pissed about that. So it's like, it's such like a different thing. So I want you now to go through your career, kind of starting when you really started getting into competitive running, and give us kind of a retrospective of your favorite memories back from when you were younger, all throughout college. And even if you're still running races and things like right now, like what are your favorite memories that you've had?
Yeah. I mean, I think I can probably pinpoint, and it's funny, this is kind of like a flip, like, because when I'm in the shop, like, I really don't talk about like my personal running and stuff like that.
So it's a good chance for your customers to hear a little bit about you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I could probably pinpoint like one or two from like each, I would say, chapter of my running journey. I think from that high school perspective, I think I mean, I would be lying if I said like my fondest memory wasn't winning Meet Champs in 2002 outside, in outdoors in the 32. I mean, that was unbelievable. It was kind of just like the icing on the cake to a career that I thought was pretty solid.
And that's before the Meet of Champs was getting destroyed by nationals every year. Like,
yeah,
that's when
everyone went.
And that's not to knock any Meet of champions over the past few years.
They're all amazing.
Back in the day, that was the only race in town for Jersey, and we were legitimately beating the best of the best and individuals that were going to go on to major universities and do great things in college.
Yeah.
So it's like it was no small feat what you did then.
Yeah, I think we had Meet of Champs was always like on a Wednesday, right? And then it wasn't even the following weekend. It was nationals were the weekend even after that. You had like a 10-day period. So, again, that was definitely a fond memory. But I think like from a big breakthrough perspective, I would have to go back a year, and I think my junior year I was 4th overall outdoors, and I ran 9:17, and that was a huge jump from where I had been the prior year. I think the prior year my PR was 10:07.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody was like, "Hey, this kid is going to place 4th overall."
40 seconds,
yeah, so that was like a super fond memory. College was always interesting. I always have an interesting take on college running. I think it's probably one of the most challenging things that an individual can do. You kind of think about it, you take the top 5% of high schoolers and you throw them all into Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, whatever that is. And so you have to take kind of the small victories there. It's like you go from being a really big fish into a small pond to, you might run a PR and you could be buried by 30 seconds. Or you could be, 150th at NCAA nationals, and that is a massive, massive run. But I think for me,
at the college level was a county champion,
absolutely,
state competitor,
especially at the level that Craig ran.
Yeah, because you ran at the famed Villanova. And Penn Relays too.
Under Marcus.
Yeah. I was fortunate to work with Marcus. I credit him and Bill Lochran and my father as like the 3 most influential people in my life. And it's just wild with Marcus because it's 4-time Olympian, sub 401 times, and you would never know. You would just never know talking to the guy. He's so humble. But I think one of the fondest memories that I have from collegiate racing was I had a really bad 10K my junior year, and it was at Big East at Rutgers. So I had some home crowd there a little bit, and I ran terrible. And I walk up to Marcus after, and I'm like, I think I'm done. And he's like, "You're quitting the team?" Like totally joking, knowing that that's not what I meant. I just meant I'm shutting down my season. And he's like, "All right." He's like, "Just take a couple of days easy. Don't do anything too crazy." And so Big East, that might have been on like a Friday, and IC4As was the next weekend, and a qualifying time for the 10K.
Yep.
So during that week, he does a workout with me, and he goes, "Go out and run 1,000 meters, and then do a 400." He goes, "And we're going to see how you look." I go, "Okay." So I do that, and he goes, "All right, go do that another 4 times." I go, "Okay." I get done. I'm like, "What was that about?" And he goes, "Well, if you looked okay," he was like, "I was going to run you at ICs." He goes, "But you looked like shit. So we're going to take off a couple more days." And so at the time we had so this was before like the Widener meet got really big, like that Twilight meet. So we had a Villanova home meet at night, and it was called the Tup Twilight meet. And he's like, "You know what?" He's like, "You've had a rough couple days." He's like, "Just go out and pace. Just go pace the 5K. Don't worry about anything. Just go through 3K. You can run 70s." So I go through 70, 440, 920. And we get to 2 miles, and he's yelling at me, and he's, "Stay in, stay in, stay in." And I'm like, "All right." I go out, run my PR, 14:35 to this day. I'll take that to my grave. And he realizes that with about 400 meters to go, he never entered me in the race because I was entered as a rabbit. So he's streaming across the infield to get, luckily it was a home meet, and he enters me with 300 to go. And I end up, I don't know what I was, 2nd or 3rd or whatever overall in the race. But yeah, luckily he got me entered because that was my PR, to the day. And yeah, I mean, just transitioning to post collegiate stuff, I was never of the caliber where I was going to run, professionally, but still was trying to hack it. And, for many, many years there, I was super committed to the marathon and things like that. And, ironically, the first one I did was the fastest one I ever ran. So, in 2008, Ended up 4th at the Philly Marathon and ran 2:25 and change. And
yeah, hell yeah.
And that was it. That was one. I wasn't one and done, but I tried to chase that time for quite a bit of time, and never got back there. But and now I'm just to the point where I'm just trying to run and stay active and not do anything too crazy. My body's taken a little bit of a toll over the years, but yeah, I'm still happy I can just get out there and enjoy it and stay active and stay involved with the running community.
So being a grad of Villanova, do you get hyped every year when they keep winning Penn?
Yeah, I mean, especially knowing like Liam a little bit and getting to know Marco over the years. Yeah, I mean, Marco works at our Metuchen shop when he's home, and he's really close to my partner Rob.
Nice.
So getting to know those guys and seeing Dolan, I mean, just seeing the jersey contingent adds to the elation, when they win. But yeah, I mean, it's like I was saying before we jumped on, like I was never fast enough to make one of those relay teams. I was always, distance night running a 10K at
Thursday night, right?
Yeah, Thursday night at 11 o'clock at night. You're ready to go to bed, but you're
packed stands of like 13 people.
exactly. But yeah, I mean, it was a big deal. It's still obviously still a huge deal, and yeah, it's a lot of fun weekend for us there.
So kind of talk about, like you said, you were done with college and, people know like, yeah, I have some left in the tank. I'm probably not pro level, but I'm not done being competitive. I feel like when you're somebody who like finishes their collegiate career fairly healthy, you're in fantastic shape. Like, was it just kind of hard to like not try and take advantage of that when you're 22, 23 years old and you're like, what if I have another big jump, right? What if, like type of deal? Like, was that kind of the mindset going in? Like, you know what? I'm in amazing shape still. I haven't stopped. I could still go and do like a ridiculous workout. Why not give this a shot type of deal?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I just turned 40 over the weekend. I still think I got a shot, but that's clearly not the case. But
congrats. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And I mean, especially, at that time, and I think that's like really the unique thing about like the marathon distance is that the Olympic trials like really personifies like it really personifies like determination and that like Rickman's mentality. And at the time when I had run 2:25, the standard was 2:22. So initially, so I ran that in the fall of 2008. So the trials had just happened in New York the previous fall for the 2008 Olympics. Right. So they didn't announce, what the standard was at that point for the next, 2012, I guess it would have been. So it was 2:22 for the 2008 games, and then next thing you know, I think for the 12 trials they dropped it to like 2:19, and like that's like a world of difference. 2:25 to 2:19 is very different than 2:25 to 2:22. So again, there was definitely hopes to still run under 2:20, and I think there were point in times where I was fitter than than I was when I ran 2:25. But I mean, the marathon is just a thing where you put all your eggs in one basket and it could go wrong for multitude of reasons.
Look at Boston this year. It was like 68 degrees and people were literally like burning. It was like, you just never know.
There's so many factors. The course matters and all that. Like the course, I feel like plays a huge factor, right? Like
absolutely.
How many hills are there? What is everything like? Like there's a lot that goes on, and that's why it's pretty stringent as to what courses are actually USATF qualifiers, right? Because they want to make sure that you're not sitting there and I'm running 26 downhill on a flat course, and cool. I just ran a 2:14, and then you go to a real course and it's like I ran a 2:30. Like it kind of comes out, and but listen. To run 26.2 at any sort of competitive level, I don't think it's downhill.
Oh no, I mean
it's grueling, it's difficult.
It's wild, and I mean we come across so many different walks of life that come through our doors of the shop and stuff like that, and we get people that run 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, and upwards of that. And I mean I give them more credit than the majority of the people that run 2:20, 2:30 because I don't want to be out there for 5 hours. Like it's not, it hurts just as much for everybody, and it's a longer time being out there. So, but yeah, and that's the challenge too with marathoning. It's like, everything is at one day, and it's not like a 1500 where like, oh, you catch a hot day, you can go out next week and run one. It's like you threw 6 months of your life into this, and you probably can't do another one for another 6 months. So
your body's broken for a little bit. Like
it is. Yeah.
You earn that beer, and then you go and you recover. Right, you get that pint. Maybe you get a cool commemorative glass, and that's what you earned.
You got to earn it. You got to earn it.
Your feet.
So how does a person like that get into the shoe business? Well, like, how did this happen?
Yeah, I mean, I always talk about it. It's just, it honestly is just kind of the next chapter of me staying in the running community, and kind of like the next evolution of my competitiveness when it came to running, right? And I'm not competitive from a sales perspective, but I think there is also something to be said about like growing a brand and being kind of in the community. And for me, I mean, I kind of always thought I was going to do something like this. I even remember, I go back to memories that I had in high school where, I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go to school and things like that. And even it came up in conversation with me and my father at one point in time, like, what do I want to do long term? Granted, at 17, I don't, think many of us knew.
No, not at all.
But I knew what I didn't want to do, and which I was doing it at the time of graduation, which is just basically having a desk job, which wasn't really rewarding. And this had always been kind of like a thought in the back of my head. And again, for me, it's a community that's been so gracious to me and has had such a effect on me in my life. And it's just only kind of fitting that again, not to be overly dramatic or romantic about it, but kind of pay it forward and
provide okay, man. This is
your work
right now. You're allowed to get.
I'm not going to give myself my own flowers. I'm not going to give myself
dude. Like that's okay. Like listen, I'll give you flowers. Like it's the running stores that allow people to continue, and especially like. Do you have like a running club or anything that comes out of your give us a little rundown, because that is also a massive thing. Because I know up by us in Poughkeepsie, we had Kim Caruso on many moons ago, and she runs a Fleet Feet in Poughkeepsie, and they do amazing things introducing runners, right? They have like, if you want to do an introductory 5K or marathon or half, they have training teams. So you're with people now learning all sizes, all walks of life, everything. But they also have, a competitive team, and they have Fleet Feet Elite and things like that here. So it's like, what do you guys, give yourselves a little bit of a plug. What do you guys have to offer outside of shoes, outside of apparel, outside of know-how? Like, someone who maybe has thought about running, but like, man, that's too hard. I don't want to run alone, and I don't want to pay a ton of money to get involved. Like, so what do you have to offer the community in terms of Ultimate Touch and Freehold areas?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, out of Freehold, where's really kind of where I'm stationed out of. We do group runs every single week. So,
and is that free to go and just meet up and
totally
run?
free? Yep, totally free. And it's all different paces. Like we have some guys that ran, collegiately that come and they'll be up front running, high 6s, low 7s, like for just kind of their easy day. And then we'll have people that come out and they just walk. So, and everything in between. So, I mean, for us, like we're a very open community. Our doors are open to everybody. It's kind of wild. You think running store, everybody comes in is super into running and things like that. Like half, if not more, of the people that come into our doors, they just need good shoes, and if they're trying to get on an active lifestyle, that's just an added benefit. And if we can play a little role
over pronation and under pronation, and then you're just looking and be like, you have flat feet.
Right.
I'm not going to explain it to you. Like, this is what you have.
We don't get too technical.
Supinate.
Yeah, we don't get too technical, but
which is smart.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, I've been doing it for over 12 years now. We've had Freehold. My partner Rob's had Metuchen for about 23 years now. He's been up there since 2001. And I mean, it's kind of cliche, but at this point, it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like something that I do because I just enjoy it, So,
was there ever any thought about getting into coaching after college, or was this always kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I dabbled in that a little bit. So after college, I came back home and I ran. I had the opportunity and I lumped this gentleman in there right up there with Marcus and Bill and my father. But I had the opportunity to run for Coach Joe for a year at Monmouth. So
we had him on. He's amazing.
Had him on the show. Great guy.
He's the best. And so I came home and got my master's. So. When I was at Nova, Marcus had the foresight to redshirt me my freshman year because we had guys on the team like Adrian Blinko and Ryan Hayden. Like I wasn't making an impact at all. So Marcus had the foresight to redshirt a bunch of us, and then ultimately leveraging it into a master's degree. Which again, I don't really know how I use selling shoes, but that's a whole other conversation.
Hey, being smarter never hurts. Okay?
Yeah, it can't hurt.
Intelligence does not hurt.
but yeah, and during that time, I had the opportunity to come back to Homedale and coach with Sean for about a year or so while I was finishing up grad school. And then there was about maybe another. So that's like, I don't know if you guys remember George Galasso.
Yep.
So George was a big time
Very
runner
good.
at Homedale
Yep.
and Princeton. But that's when George was in high school, so I had the opportunity to train with him a little bit while I was there. And then I got some desk jobs that I didn't really like for about 3 years. And then when we opened the shop in 2012, that fall, I joined Sean again. And I was at Homedale for another 3 years or so. I think I did it from 2012 to 2015. So I was there with Sean for 2 years. And then when he departed and went to CBA, I was there for 1 more year. And then I kind of departed. And that's when Coach Godfrey took over at Homedale before his time at Monmouth now. But yeah, I loved coaching. I mean, as you guys can attest to, man, it's a lot of hours.
It is.
But
the payoff is like, and I'll say it, and you'll probably agree, when your athlete gets that PR that you knew they could do for weeks and they've been working at it
100%.
and they finally get it, it's better than when you got your own. It feels better than when you broke a big PR, that felt great. But then watching your athlete, and then when you've been specifically working with some of them and they turn to you and they find you, that's the best feeling in the world. Cause it's like, I didn't do nothing, but I love this for you. You did it all. I just yelled at you a lot.
You don't coach track and cross country for the stipend. That is
sure. Right.
No, it's like $1 an hour.
So you start a running store for the stipend, getting really paid and making real money.
Oh God, yeah, one shoelace at a time. But yeah, I mean it's a very rewarding. Coaching is very rewarding, as you guys can attest to. But yeah, I mean, I always joked around I would get more nervous for my athletes' races than for my own. Because at least you could control your own races, but with athletes, your athletes, you can't control it. You can just get them to the line and know that they've done the work and hope for the best.
You got to play psychiatrist with some, and then with others, you can kind of go push away and just be like, go do your job, leave me alone. I know you're fine, and then with others, it's like, okay, what do we need today? You need to know they're all individual, and that's fun.
Yeah.
So have you guys ever considered having a pro team? With especially just more with the fact that as well as I and Dave, the short conference talent's incredible. The greater Middlesex talent is incredible. Right next to us. And there's got to be so many collegiate athletes like you that are I have a shot. I think I still have a shot. And now with everyone that runs Division 1, 2, 3,
so many
AIA breaking 4 in the mile, there needs to be is there something there? Because I know Shore AC is massive in the area. They're incredible at what they do, and I think they're trying. They're absolutely trying to get more of a pro and elite presence, right?
Joe's getting things rolling, and Rafferty and all those guys.
Rafferty on, and he was talking about that, and he actually ran 14.
They ran Broad Street.
At Penn.
Oh yeah. He ran a Penn, and then they had a good show in a Broad Street yesterday on was it Sunday yesterday. I mean, I think
things where you'll support them more than wanting to start it on your own, or
I think it's a challenge, right? From a bandwidth perspective, I mean, we only have so many people on staff, and from a bandwidth, that's always a challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
The elite team back in the day was usually me and my buddies, and now we're all kind of banged up and either with kids and so we're not really doing too much racing ourselves anymore at this point. It's always something that we think about and talk about, but yeah, I mean, we try to be supportive of clubs in the area, definitely, especially with Joe at the helm of Shore AC now, and actually
such a great decision for Shore AC to have Joe leading that.
Yeah, no, he's the best. And one of our employees that works with us, Dana Luma. So she helps out Joe quite a bit. She's a Monmouth graduate. She's been with us. She's been on our team for about 2 years now. So and she's phenomenal. And she came over she was working for Shore AC, and then she kind of is obviously with us full time now. But she still has connections to the club and things like that, and the races and stuff that they put on. So, but yeah, no, it's an interesting question. It's just a matter of time and bandwidth, to be honest with you.
And I guess putting the funds aside, right? Because now you're in charge of entering everyone into these meets. And, do I have a guy who's sub-4? Am I sending him out to Mount Sac in California? These are big things. Am I trying to get him into gold, silver, platinum meets and getting into the weeds of all those pro things that I don't know if Dave knew. I didn't know about it before Eric Sawinski brought it up to us. All like the different levels of pro meets and how they work.
Sure.
And
I didn't know about the gold and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like how the world rankings play a big factor in all of it. So it's like it is a huge step, right? And it's a lot of it. It would be. I imagine you'd have to have somebody just dedicated to that, right? It couldn't be like
you would have to hire someone to do it.
Yeah, you'd have to hire a full-time coach or two, right? Because men, women want to help them out, like doing workouts. So it's a big undertaking. It's just for me looking at it as an outsider.
Sure.
I just know the amount of talent that comes from that area. And it's like, how many of them are just getting done with college and leaving, knowing that they might want to, but maybe I don't want to go to Shore AC. Maybe I'm closer to Freehold and Metuchen. I want to go there and I don't want to travel. And it's like, it's tough. It's like, it's easy for me to ask you, right? Like I'm just sitting here. I'm in Poughkeepsie, New York. I'm nothing to do with it, but it's like, this is something I'm just curious that like, is there a big reveal happening live on the show?
No. You can't, can't pin me to that one, but yeah.
So I want to get back into running. So you started there. You said what, about 12 years ago, and Rob's had it about.
Yeah, Rob's had Metuchen since 2001. So yeah.
What are your thoughts on how shoes have changed?
Yeah,
and where we're getting at in terms of price point for shoes? Like, do you feel like there are certain shoes that we are pricing certain people out of?
Sure.
And I'm not blaming you.
No. I mean, it's honestly, it's a valid concern.
And I'm blaming you.
No, but I mean, like, I mean, since you've started, we've gotten like On, and I know Hoka's kind of new. So like having all these new brands, does that make your job harder? I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very exciting. I always talk about it. It's a very exciting time in our industry.
Oh yeah.
It's unlike anything that I've experienced in the 12 years I've been doing it, let alone, Rob for his, 25 plus years doing it before even opening the shop. Or, I look to guys like Dean Shantz, who, he used to work with us. He had Sneaker Factory for all those years. Just, the evolution of shoes has been absolutely radical over the last 5 to 7 years, let alone looking at the wall 15 to 20 years ago, right? But
we're a long time when the Nike Milers were like the big thing, like that. And then the Nike
I was in the 90s, man.
And then the Nike Frees came along, and the Nike Frees were a big deal. And now it's like those are garbage compared to what we have now.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And the interesting thing right now too is that so we have like popular brands that eat up a lot of the market share, but all the brands that we carry 9 brands in the store, they're all making really good product right now. Where if we were looking back, 5 years ago, we probably couldn't say that. So it's like a hyper competitive market right now, which, competition just breeds innovation, in my opinion. But Dave, I do hear the price point conversation, and it's a valid concern, and it's definitely something that we talk about all the time, because shoes that we look at maybe 2 years ago that were the $130 price point and $150 price point are now $140 price point and $165 price point. And those are just talking about daily trainers. That's not even talking about spikes, which are spikes are crazy. And the spike game is insane. I mean, we were fortunate enough to be one of a handful of vendors that actually got the updates to the Dragonfly and the Maxfly and the Victory. So all the proto stuff that just launched.
And I saw your cool premiere with one of our former guests, Emma Zawatsky.
That
was really dope over on Instagram, watching them do.
It's a lot of fun. I think that's like one of the things that I really like appreciate and value about the role that Runner's High plays, is like we can do a lot of that cool stuff with a lot of like the local athletes. And I just look back and I'm like, if I was like 16, 17, 18 and like doing this for like a store, like I would be stoked out of my mind. And I'm like so happy that
we had Emma
able to do that.
We had Peyton Hollis on. We've had some great athletes. Jimmy was Susan.
Yeah.
And it's like they're all so much,
the whole Westfield top 7.
All so much cooler than I would have been. Like I would have been like a dorky loser on one of these. Like they're so well spoken, and like
crazy. Yeah.
Emma does her own thing on TikTok and stuff, where she's interviewed. Like it's just really cool to see just how well seasoned they are, and also it's a tribute to their parents and how well raised they are, and just how great of kids that they are. And not to say like our parents did a great job. I'm a product of myself, not my parents. I mean, but overall, it's like it's just so cool to see just like how great all that stuff is. Now, I have a quick question for you. When you are coming in and you have that parent and an athlete, maybe the kid's just starting out or just really starting to get passionate about running, and they're looking at the price points of the shoes that everyone else is getting on the team, and it's kind of like you'll see that parent go, honey, I can't afford that.
Sure.
Are there also shoes that you have ready to recommend that aren't as expensive but are just as good a quality? Because like you said, you have 9 brands, and one of the things that you can turn to with a lot of other sports,
like last year's model or something,
yeah, and one of the things you could turn to with a lot of other sports is it's like, okay, those Under Armour or Nikes might be too much, or Pumas or something, but here's a pair. You know what I mean? Like you can always there's always the discount, but just as good shoe.
Yeah, listen, I mean, at the end of the day, for us, like we're never going to allow price be a barrier of entry for a kid to get into the sport. I mean, that's just and we tell the coaches all the time on the side, like if you need anything, just let us know. Just shoot me a text.
And that's the way it should be.
It's we have plenty of stuff
to
go around if there's an issue, and we're not here to embarrass anybody or anything like that. Like, just if there's anything we could do, we're more than happy to support. Now in store, like, there's in spikes in particular, there's different tiers. Basically every brand makes 2 tiers, right? The high end is getting even higher at this point, which again, I didn't think it was going to happen this way, but no one is really batting an eye at those higher end prices. But again, we're not going to get some kid in that has never run track and field before, and they're like,
and Craig,
I need spikes, and it's like, oh, here's your $109 spike. This is all we have. Like,
I really think it comes from the results, right?
Sure,
you're gonna go pay 190 if you're gonna drop your PR in the 800 by 4 seconds that season, 5 seconds. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
You're gonna like if you were paying 190 and you went from a 5-minute to a 4:58, you're gonna be pissed. But you pay 190, you're a 5-minute miler. There's a good chance you're easily running sub 440 with some of the new shoes, and it's just like the aggression that they are pushing and the recovery that they're allowing because your feet don't hurt anymore. It's like, so I think it's results driven. Now, I do want to say, like, I did other sports. I know, Dave, you did other sports. The one thing about running is the material is the shoes, right? You spend a lot up front, but you have generally 300 miles on trainers. You have at least a full season or 2 on spikes. So unlike other sports where you're still paying a ton of money to just have entry into these sports, potential getting equipment. So for me, part of it, especially from playing football, from doing all these other sports, yes, we complain about the price of spikes and shoes. But at the same time, if you were doing any other sport, you're still paying that amount or more. So it's like, I look at it and it's like, for runners, because of what we're used to and what we've seen, we're looking at it going, man, this is insane. But if you were going and playing any other sport for travel, for things like that, you're paying. Listen, my daughters do dance. I would love for them both to quit in the future because you're paying thousands of dollars. Like their outfits are like 100 something, and they're 6 and 3, and I'm paying like 200 something dollars for their outfits for like just the hope they stand on stage and shake their butts a little bit. Like that's it. So it's like, so for me, I look at it and yes, that point of entry, sitting there asking someone to drop $400, $300 up front is a lot.
Yeah.
But you have to think this isn't as often as you're going to do with some other sports, like high school kids typically aren't getting by far out of a season. You know what I mean? Maybe college, a little more, but usually you go to a college, you typically have a deal with the company and you get them cheaper, right? That's usually how it works. But I just want to put that out there for anyone listening. I don't want to scare anybody away from going to Runner's High, talking to Craig, getting some shoes, because if you were to go play football, hockey, basketball, baseball, and you're any sort of good, or you want to be on travel, you're paying more. So just want to throw that out there as like, something to continue to get runners to come to the fold, because we complain about the prices because it's more than what we've ever been used to, and probably more than what you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's
cheaper.
It's definitely escalated over the last couple of years, especially from the competition side of stuff. But it's always one of those things too, where we are very cognizant of who's coming in the door, right? Like we're never going to get a 14-year-old freshman that's like, I just signed up last week, and like, all right, kid, here's your $200 spike. Like, No, like we're going to introduce him to one. That may end up not working out well physically for him,
Yes.
Or her, and so yeah, I mean, it is crazy.
There's so many factors too. Like where do they live? Like obviously there's certain more like where I'm teaching out in Manasquan. Kids are not going to mind spending this money because a lot of their parents have it. But you go other places and maybe they don't. Not that everyone does it in Manasquan. I'm not saying that, but like where you live and how much money you have certainly changes how you perceive what is expensive.
Go back to where I grew up in Manchester. We had everything. Like you have a little bit of everything in Manchester where, it all depends on kind of where you're from in Manchester. But I knew when I was going over to shoe stores, maybe if we were lucky that time I was able to get in. My mom and dad did a ton for me, without me knowing. They sacrificed more than I could ever know in order to get me this type of stuff. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if I would be able to get the top shoe right now. You know what I mean? Like it is a lot right now, but at the same, and like Dave said, it really does depend on, that type of thing. Now, do you give any sort of discount if the kids come up and tell you they're a high school athlete?
Yeah, I mean, we work with all the different high schools in the area, so we try to hook the kids up when obviously when we can and things like that. So, but Dave, we were talking before about us traveling around. I mean, we go to different high schools too,
which is awesome.
So we'll set up and pop up shops and things like that. So,
or you'll go to meets. Like I saw you at the
at Rebel Relays earlier this year.
I mean, and it's great because like you can just get your shoes there, and most parents are there at the meet, so they don't have to take a trip after work and drive to the store. Like they could just buy them at the meet, or like at our school, you came to our practice, which was amazing.
Just rolled up.
We're just buying shoes there. It's such an amazing feature that you guys offer, and I know kids love it because they don't have to go anywhere.
What's even cooler is, having awesome shirts to wear on a live stream that, say Runners High, and
I'm sure we can make that happen. I'm sure we can make that happen. Just shoot me a text with some sizes.
I'm always trying to get free stuff. I love free stuff. Especially
talking about price point of shoes. He's trying to get free shirts.
Listen, free shirts are awesome. Okay.
Well, I got one more question.
Yeah.
Do you?
I'm here all night.
Do you notice that when someone like Yara Goose runs his 340 like that, there's a jump on, or like when like someone does well from a certain team, do you notice kids wanting to get like kind of like in basketball, people want to get Jordans or people want to get this? Is it the same in track where kids want to get shoes that they see their pro,
it's very interesting. It's a very interesting case study over the years. And before we jumped on, we were talking about, the track league and Merber getting involved. I look at kind of what On is doing right now, and kind of equate it to what Hoka was doing around 2015, 2014, like 2016-ish at the trials and things like that, where it was like, here's this brand, like, why are they sponsoring these athletes? And then all of a sudden, it just hit. And then, not to say that it's the only reason that Hoka's kind of had this, meteoric rise, but it definitely helped. And I kind of see the same thing with On. And while Hoka, has had this meteoric rise, I don't think any of us anticipated it being in the high school component to it, but I think having those athletes authenticates it for those student athletes. And I think On is doing the same thing where, 3 to 4 years ago, we weren't getting any kids coming and asking specifically for On. Where now with OAC, we're seeing a lot of kids come in and asking specifically for On. So
you got Ritzenheim there. It's just
and it's so funny too because it's like Ritz is like I think he was a year older than I was in school. So just following him and like being like him being my childhood idol, even though he's only a year older than me.
Him and Webb and Ryan Hall, like all those guys
all around the same time.
Monsters,
And now him coaching that, and obviously his daughter's super good. So all the kids probably know the daughter.
Stud.
Little to know that her father was an absolute monster. But,
he was a freak too.
So, but it's a great question. I mean, we do see it. I don't know if there's like a direct correlation, but it's just, I think this longer over time kind of awareness that the kids are starting to pick up on.
And it seems like Nike maybe went through a little lull, but now they're back, and like everybody has Nike spikes now.
I mean, I love them. I got them hanging up in the back. They
are quite impressive, man. I see them practice. I'm like, man,
I mean, it's kind of
like I had here.
I don't think I'm saying anything out of line. I think it's kind of their world, and everybody's just trying to take little bites here and there of it. Between throwing spikes out, and I know you gave Clemmy a shot earlier. We're always intrigued to see what kids are wearing, and I saw she was rocking some On spikes. But yeah, it is very much a Nike dominant world. I mean, they have kind of the best tech in that category right now.
Now,
without a doubt.
Is that only with these spikes or training? Because most of my kids race in Nikes, but they don't have Nike trainers. They'll have On or Hoka or.
I would say it's probably more diverse in the trainer category than it is in the competition spike category. Definitely, yeah. I think that's you'll see a wider breadth of brands on kids' feet, or from when it comes from trainers as opposed to spikes. Definitely, yeah.
So how much does it help with On and Hoka? Because one of the things I noticed is a lot of nurses and a lot of people that are on their feet a lot wear On and Hoka.
Tons.
Yep.
How much does it help that a parent can turn around and say, well, I love these shoes. I'll spend the money for my kids to get these really expensive trainers. Like, does that help? Do you see that helping where the parents will walk in to go and get their kid a shoe and go, you know what? I'm going to grab a pair for myself because I know I really love those for work. And does that help them that, I think that's one of the things that both of them have kind of grasped on and did a really good job
Tons of teachers where I work wear like Hokas or Ons every day.
Yep.
And especially the Ons, because the On logo could be so subtle at times. It's not like Hoka is a little more in your face, and
right.
like that. But
people don't even know that it says On.
People don't know that.
They call it QC.
Yeah, they're like, what is
QC all the time? Yeah,
cool little logo, and it's like, have you seen that also help both of those brands where they just make a comfortable shoe?
Oh yeah,
I mean that looks pretty good as well.
Yeah, I mean, like how before I was saying, like, I would say over 50% of the people that walk through our door, they're not running, they're not exercising, and again, that's perfectly fine. And those two brands, I would say On a little bit more recently than Hoka, but I think a lot of us in the run specialty industry, have some of the brands to thank that we've seen this post-COVID kind of expansion in a lot of our businesses because of the demand from people that aren't running, to be honest with you, from doctors and nurses and PTs and really anybody that comes into the doors that are, standing on their feet all day. We fit a lot of people that work at Home Depot and Lowe's.
Yeah.
Because they're on concrete floors all day, so it's a much, much wider demographic that we fit than just runners. And yeah, I mean, it does help, when if brand recognition, from a parent perspective, when they're like, oh, I have Hokas. Well, I know my kid is going to be okay in this shoe. So
now, I want to give a quick shout out though. We have a comment. We're on YouTube. Carl Torchia. Craig is simply the best. Totally cares and takes care of every kid that walks in the door. So thanks, Coach.
Carl. Thank you. Carl.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate that. Thank you for watching.
Love you, Carl.
So go ahead, Dave. Sorry about that.
I was just say, speaking of COVID, do you guys do a lot of business online, and were you only online then? And has that helped to, after the COVID was over, do you still do a lot of stuff online?
Yeah, it was a hell of a time, much like for everybody. But we were shut down for 3 months, in full, so we couldn't open our doors for 3 months. Not open our door. I could get in, but no one else could. And so we flipped the switch on our online. We did not have an online presence at all from a store perspective prior to COVID.
I mean, you guys are popular. You didn't need one. The runners knew where you were and they were coming to you. It's one of those things where as long as you're not, pardon my French, a total dick, you're going to have a lot of athletes and good word of mouth from, the high schools. You're going to get the teams to want to come to you. That's part of
it. And we looked at it a lot as just a headache too. I mean, we weren't tech guys. We weren't internet guys. We pride ourselves on, the sit and fit model of, come into the shop and let's do the whole assessment and do everything. So it kind of would go against what we really kind of planted our flag in. However, out of necessity, we built online store. Baby. Yeah, adapt or die.
Yeah. Oh, I think
you're on mute.
You got muted for a second. I interrupted him with adapting, and now his microphone died. It's
I'm back, right?
There he is. He's back. Hey,
now this wire is like a little loose. I don't know on the end of my mic. So, but yeah, I mean, overnight we flipped an online store on Shopify, and the community really came out for it. And we weren't doing 100% of our business, obviously, but for those 3 months, I think we were doing probably roughly 60 to 70% of our normal business, which was
that's great.
Well enough
That's
to
incredible.
keep, the rent paid, the people, everybody on staff paid. And that was hugely important to me, is to take care of the people that work with us. And
that's massive for a small business, right?
Yep.
Especially one with 2 stores. We saw so many small businesses fold, and that just talks about the strength of the running community and how much, if you care for running communities, they will care for you. And it's something that I think Dave has experienced going to meets, just the feedback of sometimes seeing people like, oh, hey, I listen to Talking and Ovals, talking to someone. It's like, it's cool. Like, I'd love to go to a few meets and do that. But if you're good to the running community, they are certainly kind-hearted people.
It's a very tight-knit community. Everybody knows everybody, and if they don't, they're probably 2, 3, 4 degrees away. And but yeah, I mean, through that, we were shipping everything. I think I was pissing off a lot of the postal service places, because just dropping off 30 packages a day and things like that. And it was a different world, and we just had to hustle and grind through it. And fortunately, we opened back up in middle of June of 2020, and it wasn't just us; it was everybody in our world, in our industry. I would say, like, really hit the ground running, for lack of a better term. But we saw like a pretty big explosion in our world after that. And I think largely, I think there was initially definitely a renaissance back to shopping small and supporting local stores through all of it. And then, also there was a bigger emphasis on health and fitness, be it running or walking or exercising. And then people's lives just changed, right? Where they maybe weren't commuting, right? And they all of a sudden got 2 or 3 hours of their lives back, and they could go out to the gym, and they could go out for a walk, and they needed to choose to do that. So while there were some pretty dark moments through those 3 months where we didn't know what the hell was going to happen, much like everybody didn't know what was going to happen, we kind of got our way through the other side, and we're stronger for it, and a stronger team for it too. I mean, I can't give enough credit to the team that we have. I'm very fortunate.
We found out people started washing their hands. That's the biggest thing through COVID. There's a lot of people that didn't wash their damn hands. Now everyone kind of washes their hands, does it the right way. Like, that was like the fact that it was like such like a big reminder. It's like, wait a minute, you guys weren't doing this? Like,
we were washing our hands so much that they would get chafed at the store. Our hands were burning because after every person.
Why didn't I buy Jergen stock? Because I had to go up incredibly afterwards, because everyone probably needed so much lotion afterwards. So I want to jump into, and before we jump into that, I want to thank everybody who's watching, everyone on X, everyone on YouTube,
thank you,
everyone on Facebook. We appreciate you all. If you could do us a favor, if you're watching on X, go follow, retweet, YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to us. If you're over on the Runners High Facebook, go join us on YouTube and X as well. Go over there, because we'll have Craig back on eventually, because I'm having fun, and we're definitely not going to get through everything tonight. But
I'm here for as long as you guys want. I'm good.
Oh, that's awesome. Listen, I mean, I could stay up all night. I'm a night owl anyway. Dave likes to sleep. Dave's an old man, so he likes to get to sleep.
I got to be at work early.
He gets grumpy when he doesn't sleep.
No, I'm not grumpy.
So I want to jump into American distance running right now with you. We talked about Yara Nagus. We gave a shout out to Centro. I just want, before any other preamble, you're a distance guy. What do you feel about American distance running right now, where it is currently, 8, 15, 3, steeple, all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the most exciting it's ever been in the last, however, I mean, probably, I don't even know how long, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, like, ever since I've been following it, it's,
definitely depth wise.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, everybody, I think the team that we send in pretty much any event is going to have shots to medal, right? I don't think we could have said that,
or how about
12 years ago, or
just making the US team is actually like something that is hard.
Yeah.
It's where it was always like, all right, we're going to send someone in the steeple and they're going to get rocked.
Right.
Now it's like we have guys who can.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super excited for this year. I think Diamond League leading up to the Olympics is going to be great. And then I mean, I think from a US perspective, I'm really hyped on the men's and women's 1500. I just think that's super competitive. Women's 800, I think, is going to be insane. I'm pulling for I mean, we claim her as Jersey and claim her as hometown, but a thing. I mean, we can claim a number of different Jersey people. But
Allie Wilson,
there you go, my guy.
Love Allie. Love Allie. Allie's supposed to come on the show. We need to talk to Joe.
She's the best.
We need to.
She's a Jersey girl. I don't care.
We're not going to bug her yet. We'll wait, but we will get back to bugging Allie.
Well, I was just saying, like I say it all the time. Think of the 4x8 that you could have just from Jersey or Allie Wilson,
Ajay,
Olivia Baker, and you mean tell me that Sydney McLaughlin can't run a 156? Hands down.
Yeah, no, we're
you can win the world relays with just Jersey girls.
And on that note, I'm heartbroken for Emma Coburn.
Yeah,
to break her ankle, and she's obviously.
But I did read Jaeger's running a steeple trying to get ready.
Is he?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Evan. Honestly, he was. I think Evan was on the vanguard before this renaissance really happened. Like he was one of the lone Americans. We had Galen and everything, but he was a guy that
he won the worlds in the steeple.
He won the worlds, and he was the guy who really thought that he could go and do that in the Olympics as well, right? Because the African nations have owned the steeple in the Olympics. And, I would love to see Evan, come back and do it again. But one of the things that excites me right now, Craig, is the American records are getting so much closer to some of the world records. And I think that's super exciting. You have Yara Nuguse, who is right there chasing with Jakob for, the record in the 15. And I think, when
Fisher running some unbelievable times.
When Jakob breaks it, I think Yared is also going to be beneath it. And we could see Kerr possibly going right with them. Like there's such a good
Prefontaine mile is going to be
going to be great. Yeah. But like you said, Grant Fisher, Grant Fisher is arguably the greatest American distance runner we've had, right? Like if you look at what he's done in the 15, the 10,
based on the time,
based on the times and based on his just what he has, it's ridiculous in that Grant Fisher isn't everywhere. Like why isn't there a cardboard cutout of Grant Fisher in front of runners high right there? Here, and this is what drives me nuts about USATF. What drives me crazy is you have guys like Grant Fisher, Noah, and Sid's going to be everywhere. But it's like we have these people that are not just American good; they're world class good. What are we doing? I know where they're going to be everywhere when the Olympics come soon, right? No, everywhere 24/7 all year round. I don't understand why they're not going to people like you at Runners High and saying hey, these are the 6 athletes we want to push.
Yeah.
All year.
Yeah. I mean, it's
have signings in the store,
Yeah. And we were fortunate. We had Centro in the fall time, which was great. I mean, that was awesome. We had it was for NXR. We did a send-off dinner with some of the local schools. So
awesome.
The boys CBA came in, and
nice.
Around the Westfield Middletown South girls came out.
I want to meet Centro, damn it.
he's a good dude, man. He was a really good dude.
I met his dad. His dad's
a good
guy. He is, I mean, he just tells you how it is. It was
he's a straight shooter. Yeah,
great guy, man. It was
that way. Yeah,
he might have had some drinks too, but it was
awesome. But yeah, no, I mean it's always interesting to see, and Dave, you had asked earlier, do sponsorships drive footwear and things like that? It's always interesting, and I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I think again, it's this longer process of brands just being present and doing different activations, and sponsoring high school meets. I think is huge, right? Hoka has the mile night in St. Louis and stuff like that. And
so much fun.
They do all sorts of stuff with that. So
they might have they're having to have 3 or 4 kids break 4 in high school this year. It's crazy.
Yeah. But before we jump off of the U.S. distance running, I got to give my boy Travis Mahoney a shout out.
Oh man,
he just
keeps going, man. He keeps going.
Let's go. Let's get him on the team. Let's get him on the team.
Let's get it.
So yeah, that's my boy right there. So
Travis the man.
So quick question, kind of going with American distance running. Mm-hmm. Do you think if there was a signature spike or a signature shoe, it would fly off the spots? Because high school kids, especially for some of the NIL deals, right? Mm-hmm. You're telling me that if we didn't have who just beat Centro this week? He's
Nico
Young.
Yeah.
If you don't have a Nico Young marathon racer, you don't think people would trust that Nico Young marathon racer with what he's doing? Or if we didn't have a Noah Lyles, if Adidas put out a Noah Lyles spike, You're telling me it wouldn't compete just by name alone with Nike and everything? Like, yeah, the performance, like, who knows? But, there are name recognitions, especially amongst the community, right?
Yeah.
And
or Sydney fun for New Balance,
Yeah. Like, why aren't they? Why don't you think they're doing that? Do you think they don't see that possibly like we do?
Spikes is an interesting conversation. A lot of brands, as crazy as this sounds, it's a loss leader for brands.
Really?
I don't know exactly how they calculate it. We've been told that this is a loss leader, but I
But
think
imagine the name could turn it around, though, right?
Oh,
Like,
definitely. Yeah, and I think again, I think New Balance would be a prime example. Like Sid had a specific colorway that they launched over when was it? At New Balance Indoors. So she had like a colorway. I don't know if her name was on it per se.
Like half her shoe, like in basketball, like everybody knows Jordans.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Kobe,
And there's the thing, like, they lie to us all the time, and these athletes are like, I helped design this shoe. It feels like me. Like, I think there's maybe like 2 athletes on the planet, like Kyrie Irving and maybe LeBron. But it's like
the brands do bring in people to do or people. They do bring in athletes to do their testing.
But I just think it would be crazy though if, like, you sat there and, like we said, Sid would come out and say, like, hey, I love these shoes because I helped. I was integral. I tried on 1,000 different trials. These are the ones that I like. These are the Sids. Sid ones for New Balance. Go out and buy the Sid ones, and maybe you can run like me.
Sure.
Like, God, like,
it's interesting because I think the only time, not the only time, right? Because this is one of the times that I can remember. This was probably a decade ago, or even later or earlier than that. They Jenny Simpson had her own trainer.
Yeah.
And Andy Badley, who was a British middle distance runner. They had a shoe called it was the 1980 from I think it was the 1980 or 1890 or 890 or 980. Either way, but they had their names on it, so it was like the Badley, and I think it was the Behringer, if I'm not mistaken. But
she was Jenny's Behringer Simpson. Yeah.
So, but that was the only time in my history of doing it that I can really think of something being like, they'll do like Nike, for example, like they'll do color packs for like Kipchoge and things like that, which kids go crazy like that. The only thing I've really seen, I guess, more recently has been like, a Bowerman track club like Dragonfly, and kids they would go nuts about that. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean,
you think that would help though? Like, do you think
I think
that
it would help? I think minimums too. I think there's a lot of stuff on the back end that we as fans probably don't know, and even me as the retailer doesn't really know, like how many of those that they have to make in order to make it even worth it.
And I can imagine Nike doesn't want to share the profits. Like, honestly, because then you have to share the profits with those athletes. You're already paying them sponsorships, and a lot of them are lucrative. And part of the deals is you get part of this money when we sell these spikes, when we sell these shoes. And I'm okay with calling it out. You don't have to. They're very stingy with how they hand out money. These sponsorships, these big shoes, they're not. And one of the things, I'll plug it right here, Dave and I would love sponsors, right, Dave? We'd love some money to come into the show. So maybe we could do this every day, interview people multiple times a week. But our stance is we will not accept a sponsor that won't sponsor an athlete we've had on the show that does not have one.
Sure.
So that's one of the things that we're standing on.
Like Eric Holt, who ran a 351.
Dude, sign that guy up.
Seriously.
Sign that guy up.
I don't understand it, but that's the thing. That's my biggest issue. And
he's baller, man.
He's marketable. Have you seen him finish a race? Like,
I love him.
What the heck? He's reckless.
His race at Penn and so we have a podcast out of the shop, and I was fortunate enough to sit down with Eric for like an hour, and couldn't have been, I mean, same thing with you guys. I know you guys interviewed him too. Like, couldn't be a nicer guy, and his story is impeccable. Like, it's just it's so touching. Like, the dude was out of the sport after college, and
it's crazy.
It's just wild.
And he wins NACAC, like he wins, like he just ran a 351 mile.
Yeah,
he was right there
from where I am.
Speaking with Jared and those guys, he was right there.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I remember, having the conversation. It was earlier this year we had the conversation, and he was just kind of like saying about how every time he gets faster, the bar gets raised.
Yeah.
And I just felt the same way when he just finished at Penn. He ran through 51 and ends up third to Yared and Ali. And Yeah, I mean that's a guy just someone just sign this damn guy.
He will not be disappointed. He will give you all he has.
Yeah.
He's such a cult hero right now.
Yes.
Like you know him in the sport. A smaller company right now that's trying to make a name, get the bolts out.
Right,
Get the bolt trainer.
Hulkamania, baby. Hulkamania.
Bolt, like give Holtz, like give him a signature shoe. Who cares if it's a burst for right now, just a little bit? Why not take a shot? If you're a smaller company right now, you're a smaller running shoe company.
Yeah.
Do it. Why not?
Yeah.
Who knows what do you have to lose? You're probably not competing with the big dogs currently anyway. Like, shoes like companies like Saucony's that's kind of fallen off. Your Mizuno's who kind of dabble, right? Like, why not take a shot? Get your name out there. I know you'll get all of New York and New Jersey to buy from Eric Hole because he's like our hometown hero, right?
Yeah.
Love it.
So
no, he's awesome. He's a great guy.
I just think there's a lot of short-sightedness in our sport. And that has always bugged me, and I get passionate about that.
It's an interesting it's a conversation, right, that always comes up in our sport, I think, where there's a disconnect between the professional aspect of it, the viewership, sponsorship of that, and then the participatory component of it, right? So like marathoning, 5Ks, all that stuff, like all those a lot of the majority of the races that are put on sell out, right? So participatory numbers are at their highest.
Yeah.
But from a support and financial support perspective and viewership perspective, where are we? And it's there's a tough, well, that's a whole nother conversation that I don't really want to go on record talking about, but
we've had that conversation a few times, and we talked about how Flow Track has Diamond League, and I think that's going to go poorly. Just way Flow Track has their whole setup. I think I'm
going to give him a chance.
I will obviously I have no choice.
It's
but
track only, so like they're going to give it all their attention.
And that's why I think cuts away from them.
And I love me some Phil Grove, man. Give me Phil Grove more.
Give me Phil Grove more. Yeah, if we get to hear Phil's golden pipes calling Diamond League events, I'm happy if Phil gets to call Diamond League. Send that man to the events.
Phil's how about like I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and we were talking about one off, like how Sound Running does it, where it's hey, you can pay $5 or $10. I would pay $5 or $10 to watch a meet.
Yeah.
I don't know if subscribe to Alex, 30. I don't know if I'd subscribe to 30 a month for
Alex said, like pay per meet.
Right.
Or even if you want pay per race. Here's a parent, I want to watch my kid run the mile.
See, my stance is for the Diamond League meets, they should be free. You should pay for access. They should make sure that they work with these athletes, have pre-race things, warm-up things that you're not going to get on the regular feed. You're going to get the announcements. You're going to get some good coverage. But if you pay, Craig Segal's running in the 1500. Was his pre-race, and here's him warming up. Here's us live talking to him, as you do that, blah, 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 and pay for access. Do some special things that I think that you'll get people to randomly watch. If it's free, the whole track community will come out and love it.
You're saying have the meets free, pay for all the meets free and documentaries
for access. And I think that's how you'll
get it. Ain't gonna happen, but
then they don't want to keep the Diamond League. Then they don't want to actually make money.
Let's see how it goes first. Let's give them a chance and see how it goes. Let's see how it goes.
This is a hot topic here, Jen. This is a hot topic.
Let's see how it goes.
Not making games free.
Listen, I don't like that it's $30 per month, but if you buy for the whole year, then it comes down to like $12 a month.
What pissed off football fans more than anything?
$150 right away. What?
Games on Peacock and games on Apple that aren't free,
or Amazon Prime,
right? Or Amazon Prime that they're not putting on for free. NFL fans are pissed about that. Now,
so are Yankee fans.
We're loyal to it, and it's an established sport. But we're so used to having them free. How do they get millions of viewers a week? Because you can watch 8 to 9 games for free on Thursday. And whatever used to be that way.
Also,
Amazon Prime, you have access.
Technically not free though. You're still
their stuff.
You're paying for Peacock, or
you're paying for yes,
right.
But it's not as.
But with Peacock, you're spending that. But you also, for the non-track people in your house, you get everything that Peacock has. Flow Track, there's no there's no Ozark or
they're on cable
like that.
Football games and basketball games are on cable. They're on CBS, NBC, ESPN, and things like that. Track is now going to be behind a paywall that nobody outside of the track community knows about.
I just think
if you were on Peacock, NBC was there, it was up there,
Yeah, I think if we're talking about trying to grow the sport, I think it just needs to be in front of as many people as possible. 100%. And I think if it's and I mean, we can even go off the rails even more if we want to talk about how to qualify in the 10K for the Olympics. But if I can't follow that as a fan,
right?
I don't, and some of the athletes can't even follow it. That's a whole other conversation. But I think if we're trying to grow the sport and get fans into the sport, we need to make it as easily accessible and have it be found easy. And I think being on a platform like a Peacock or like any other platform that most common people that my neighbors here in my community have is the way to go about it, as opposed to it being on a niche platform that the community that already knows about these meets knows about this.
Right. But the issue is there's a lot of people in this community who know about it, who still aren't dropping $30 every month.
100%.
Yeah. I'm not paying for it.
Yeah. I will, because I'm an idiot.
I'm not paying for it. You want to know why I'm not paying for it anymore? Because I will watch all the highlights on X. I will watch all
I pay runner space, and I don't even know how much that costs.
I don't even know how to log in.
When I got to watch Trials of Miles, but like I had to go to like my Fire Stick and go to Amazon Silk and go in there, then log in. It was like, it's just
and that's my thing. And if the one thing Michael Johnson can do, that would be
needs to get a TV deal,
is get it on one of the networks: NBC, Fox, ABC, CBS.
I don't care if it's CBS Sports Network or something.
I don't care where it is, but yeah, make it so that if I have YouTube TV, if I have Sling, if I have something, I could just scroll by and watch it. Because I am that type of person. If I can maybe forget that NCAA's is on, not anymore while doing this, but before I would forget, I would scroll through ESPN and be like, oh shit, NCAA's is on, Big Tens are on. Like,
people forget that UFC started on Spike and Versus channel, and now they're on ESPN. You know, like start some. It doesn't have to be like. Start somewhere small, and then hopefully it'll work out, because it's the biggest sport in the world. You know,
yeah, everyone runs.
Can we just take a quick moment to give John Anderson his flowers?
Yes,
I love the fact that he's into the sport.
Me too.
I agree.
Him and RG3 too.
Yeah,
and Emmanuel Acho. Can't leave Emmanuel Acho out of there, man.
Yeah, no, but John Anderson's doing cross country, you know, and like he was a Sports Center anchor, you know, but he's
wild.
And you have Corey Crawford's dad, Jay Crawford. Jay Crawford is, you know, a huge fan of the sport, with Corey being, you know, a borderline Olympian in the freaking long jump, you know, right there. And Jay's a great guy. And Jay's someone we have to have on the show. I've had him on a past show of mine, which was just a sports show, but I feel like Jay would be an awesome guest coming in as like
a sports dad,
as a sports dad, and also someone that is still in sports media that can maybe give us
why they're not
insight as to what to do, right?
Like, why don't they cover like anything? Like Yard Nagoose ran 3:43 last year, and I don't know if it was on
ESPN used to have meets on in the 90s. In the 90s, they used to have meets on almost every weekend.
ESPN
when Mo Green was doing his things and Gail Devers, and they used to have meets on, and it went away. It used to be like Saturday
because ESPN wasn't as big then. As they got bigger, like everything else, they just dropped track.
That's true. So we kind of went off the rails talking about distance running, but that's okay. That's what the show is for. So, you know, anything else that you want to add? Like, you know, so from your perspective, what can a running store do to kind of get the casual to enjoy? Like, do you have TVs inside of there? Are you putting meets on? Like, I feel like that could be something where, you know, it would be something where you'd have to take the initiative on your own, right? Instead of taking the time to put possibly your own promotions up there, right? For things like that, having on.
That's $30 for Flow Track. So
we're streaming on Peacock when meets are on and things like that. Yeah, we turn meets on in the shop and things like that. And sometimes when the kids come in and they recognize that it's on and their parents watch it and stuff like that. I think for us, it's you know, I mean, even in our own events, I mean, we do one. Oh yeah, John Anderson will retire this June. I just saw that comment pop up. I know that's why we had to.
Oh wow,
give him his flowers. But
that's what happens when you start doing a track.
Right,
they push you out. You're boring. Get out of here.
He's had a hell of a career. But no, I mean, we put on an event ourselves. So between myself, Coach Joe, and Travis Mahoney, so we put on the Monmouth Mile. So it's the end of August. So it's the last Thursday of the month, and you know, it's a community race. So we get people that come out and race, you know, all the different mile heats. And then we put on like a
Eric Holt's been there too, right?
Holt has been there a bunch of times. Yeah, he's been there 3 times, and and we try to get the pros, these big pro fields to be apparent and around for the community. So I think that's part of it. I'm not sure that's the answer to it, but I do think some of these smaller grassroots events that incorporate a pro field where you're going to get people that maybe see Eric run the Monmouth Mile and they want to watch him on the trials and things like that because they got to witness him racing in when they were standing in lane 4 and Eric was running 3:53 or things like that. Right. So
I'm sure if Clayton Murphy's in the area, he'd stop by. Clayton's a great guy. We've had him on the show, like being around. Like
we'd love to have him. We'd love to have him. So
if we talk to Clayton Murphy, we'll say, hey, if you're in the Jersey,
he goes to all the local high schools
tracks,
and then he does workouts there and then stays and like talks to all.
Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome.
Which I wish more pros would do, and I feel like that would be big if we. And I've said it to other pros, like promote that you're going to be here. Mm-hmm. And I know, and the thing is, the issue is a lot of your pro athletes are pretty secretive about their workouts. They don't want people to see what they're doing. But man,
everyone knows everything now.
Everyone knows everything. Just get out there, make it say, I'm going to be here. If you want to come watch, I will sign a bunch of things. I feel like that could also be huge too.
And he also has like kids pace them,
rabbit him.
All right, you start there, I said here. So he's doing workouts with local high school
kids and stuff. Yeah. I mean, I think the youth is maybe not necessarily the challenge. I think it's more of the common person. I think 100%. One very unique opportunity that kids have now, and again, we can argue the benefits or detriments of social media, but I do think one of the benefits now is that they can communicate with these athletes where, back in the day, we couldn't do that. We would watch them, and if we got a high five all along the track, that was it. But even on our pod, we had Emily Infeld on, and
awesome.
she was great. We connected. We know her husband through the industry and things like that. And one of the things that she said she really enjoys doing is talking to the younger female athletes that reach out to her and stuff like that. And I think even just having guys in our area, like Travis and Rob Napolitano and even guys in college like Liam and Marco, having those guys around and be available for the younger student athletes. I could just imagine if I reverted back 25 years ago, how jacked up I would be if you could have that type of communication with kind of your heroes to some extent.
If I could shoot a message to Nick Simmons and him come back, as Nick Simmons was the guy when I was there in school. He was the big guy. And then we talked to Kadivas Robinson on this show. I loved Kadivas.
Ronnie Gray was one of my favorites. To be able to have him on our show was
yeah.
No, but I definitely agree with Craig where from coaching now, these kids are way more in tune with what's going on the pro level than most kids and when I was young were they know times because they also see this is the workouts that they're doing on Strava or something. So there's definitely a lot more of an interaction, and high school kids are definitely more aware of what the pros are doing and they're way more into it.
Definitely.
They will watch meets more now, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So my last thing with you is in terms of tech, in terms of watches and things like that. Has there been a big shift in terms of what's been popular? Because I know when the Garmin watch came out, when we were there, that was huge, right? And I like Garmin more than most others, especially for running and things like that.
I wouldn't trust Apple Watch for if you're a hardcore.
I wouldn't trust Apple Watch with any directions. They were sending people off bridges a few years ago. I still don't know. But so have you seen any sort of shifts? Is Garmin still king, or are there any other brands that are kind of coming along? What have you seen in terms of the technology and how do you think that has helped, hindered, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I prefer to running Garmin, but Coros is also picking up in popularity, so they've definitely taken a pretty significant market share.
We had Juliet. Andrews.
Josette.
Yeah, Josette.
Yep. Josette has Coros. She has a sponsorship with them.
Yeah, and they just signed Jakob, to a deal too. So
Jakob is a good one to have.
Yeah, so and there are ones, we were talking about customized or not customized, but athlete sponsored, products, and they have additions from Jakob, and they used to have Kipchoge. I don't know if they still do, but yeah, I think the tech can. I think it's a benefit. I think if you talk to some old heads,
Old school,
even older than me. I think some of them think it's a detriment. There could be a little bit of paralysis by analysis with some of the stuff, but I do think, again, Strava is like huge. I'm so shocked by how into Strava like a lot of the student athletes are.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they kind of see what each kid's doing and stuff like that, which again, I think that just all adds to it, right? Like I think one, there's a sense of camaraderie between a lot of the kids, that I think gets built in that capacity.
Which is weird, right?
Which is strange
because like
kids are definitely closer now than they ever were when I was young.
I had MySpace was like the big thing when we were in high school, and like we definitely like knew each other more, but we weren't friendly on MySpace. We made fun of each other. That's the whole purpose of MySpace.
Right.
Everyone just like ripped on each other on the wall. So like we were MySpace friends, but like we weren't nice to each other. Like we knew each other. We saw each other at meets, things like that. I think I maybe was like friends with like 2 or 3 kids from other schools, but I still wanted to kick the shit out of everyone.
Right.
Like, it's so different now. Like they're too nice to each other.
I see both sides. So, like I see what Craig was saying, how, everyone is aware, and that brings out the best of everyone. But I also see it too, that it adds a lot more
because psych yourself out,
anxiety and things like that. Because like, oh well, this kid's running. Like I didn't know what other kids ran. It's just he just ran. So, but I see both, but
unless they were in the Observer the week before, and we saw them,
Observer.
Like, unless they were in the Observer,
that's
the only way that we knew.
It's the transcripts, yeah.
It's certainly working because kids are running so damn fast. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of things.
Training is way better because everyone knows what everyone's doing.
Staying healthy, but I think
diet.
The dissemination of information. I mean, it's the days of us trying to check Scullion timing
I miss
by the next morning and having results there,
waiting for the I mean like now
the upload.
Now it's crazy because like coaches are at meets and they don't even hang up the little like the results. Like everyone just checks on their phone and it's there. Like we had to wait. Like, all right, boys is on this side of the wall, girls is on this side, and you had to go and wait.
We're 6 races later. Where's the results? Like, oh yeah, we used to all get
popsicle sticks for the state meeting cross country or like cards.
Oh man, yeah, that was there was a time there.
Meet a champs, and we don't know who the team winner is for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
No, no, it's crazy. But Tech has definitely done some good things for the sport. I'll say, the downfall of the mental psyche of the distance runner is when FlowTrack was putting every single NAU workout on their website, and then a bunch of high school kids are like, why can't we run like NAU? It's like, no, you can't. NAU is doing some insane stuff. And that was kind of, and I think it's interesting too, because NAU is a powerhouse now, but man, FlowTrack had like so many other workouts on. I think it certainly helped their recruiting. FlowTrack definitely helped, like, because you would see just the insane things they would do. But I think that was also kind of like the connectivity and a little bit of like the downfall of the mental psyche of the distance athlete, watching them do some of the ridiculous stuff they did.
I can't do that.
No, I could never do that. I never will. But one thing I can do is, Craig, thank you so much for jumping on the show.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate it. No, thank you so much. I appreciate what you guys are doing, and keep forging ahead. So thank you so much for having me, and
thank
to come back on at some point in time for sure.
And thank you. I mean, like what you guys do is such an integral part of the sport. Like knowing that we don't have to send kids to the mall to get their own shoes when they have no idea, that we can send them there and they're going to be taken care of. They're going to get everything analyzed, and they're going to get shoes that fit them, that work for them. And it might not be the same pair that their friend has, because their friend might have different feet. You just go to some mall, they might have the same shoe, but you have no idea if that's even the proper shoe for you. So what you guys do is amazing, and
thank you.
And I hope you guys branch out and have as many stores as you guys want.
100%.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
It's amazing. And giving those discounts, going to all the meets, giving all these kids so many chances to get the apparel that they need is amazing.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, it sounds cliche, but it truly is a labor of love. And at this point, I don't feel like I'm working. It's just, part of what we do and part of what we enjoy. So yeah.
So before we go, plug your podcast. What's the name of it? Where can people find it?
Yeah. So the podcast, so it's called What's Inside the Box. And the meaning behind that is, people think that it's shoes in the box, but usually there's a much greater story behind that.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's on Spotify, Apple Podcast, even just the website, what'sinsidetheboxpod.com. But yeah, we it's a little side hobby, side project through the shop, but has some really interesting guests on. We'll have to flip the tables. It's actually nice being a guest. I didn't really have to prepare as much.
Right.
So we'll have to flip the tables and have you guys on as
Hell yeah.
I hope our preparation was satisfactory to you. I hope we
no, 100%. I mean, hey, listen, we've gone 90 minutes and we could still probably do another 90, but so that just goes to show you that the prep was good. But yeah, no, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you having me on, and we'll catch up.
Yeah, definitely. So once again, he is Craig Segal, co-owner of Runners High. He runs the one over in Freehold Township in Jersey. If you're a Jersey Shore person, you know where that is. Go get your shoes over there. Go see him. He's a friendly guy. Go wave, say hi, tell him you heard on the show, and he'll probably charge you extra now, but still just go let him know. If you want to go follow, Runners High over on X, I'll throw it up there. It's at Runners High. And Jay, same thing over there on Instagram. If you want to follow Craig on X, NJ Metropolitans over there, and you want to follow him on Instagram, it's at _Segal. We're not going to go into why. That is not a show, a reason for this show. But
if you're a late 90s rap fan, you'll understand. But yeah.
Yes, you will. So anyway, we're talking to Nobles. We want to thank everybody who watched over on YouTube, over on X, over on the Runners High Facebook, as we were simulcasting. We appreciate that. Also, Craig, that you were throwing us over there as well. Definitely go give us a follow, like, share, subscribe everywhere. Give us a rating, give us a review. Those definitely help. If you give us a review wherever you can, 5-star rating, whatever they have there, and spread this word of mouth at Talking and Nobles, and send us PRs. We want more. We like the lists. I like spending 25 minutes at the start of the show doing PRs. Like, let's do it. Our guests can wait. But anyway, thank you again so much, everybody, for watching. Anyone that's listening, we appreciate it. Everybody, have a good one. So long, y'all.